Hey guys, today I'm filming my full face of first impressions for December. I'll be trying out all these products for the first time today, and then I will give you my final thoughts at the end of the month in my monthly favorites and product updates video. And I will just show you all the things we'll be testing out today. For primer, I will be using the Dr. Brandt Pores No More Illuminating Primer. For foundation, I will be using the Jouer Essential High Coverage Cream Foundation, and I am in the shade Pearl. For bronzer, I will be using the Bare Minerals Ready Bronzer in the shade The Skinny Dip. This is just a little deluxe sample size. So then for blush, highlighter, and eyeshadow, I'll be using the Tarte Goddess Glam palette. My friend Jean gifted this to me over the summer, and I'm really excited to try this out. And then I have some random things that I'll be testing out for the first time today. That would be the Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter, which is their clear brow gel. I will be testing this against my favorite clear brow gel from Anastasia, and I will also be testing out the NARS Pro Prime Smudge Proof Shadow Base. This is the clear version, which people have said is amazing for oily lids, and I will be comparing that to my Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion. I just have a little bit left that I had squeezed out into this sample jar, and that one works really well for me, but I want to see if I enjoy this product even more or if it works just as well. And then for lips, I will be testing out the Bare Minerals Gin Nude Matte Liquid Lipstick, and this is in the shade Swag. So I am going to be using the Dr. Brandt primer on one side of my face, and on the other side of my face I'll be using the Ordinary High Adherent Silicone Primer. That way I can see the effects of the primer with the foundation. And I am going to do the Ordinary primer on this side, and then I'll do the Dr. Brandt on this side. So I'm going to go ahead and apply the Ordinary primer off camera. So the Ordinary primer is just a basic silicone primer, and I'm really interested to try this. I know that Benefit has an illuminating pore primer, and that just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. You think that glow would just draw attention to pores, so I'm excited to test this formula. So texture so far seems has a nice light scent. This does have a good bit of thickness to it. The regular Pores No More is very thin but very moussey, and this definitely has a more creamy texture. So it is a little thick. So this is the Ordinary primer side and the Dr. Brandt side. Maybe there's a little bit more of a glow on my skin, but this definitely isn't an overly glowy or illuminating primer. And I guess my pores do look a little bit smaller on this side, a little bit more blurred, and let me take a little bit more and really try to focus it on my pores. I mean, I can still see them a bit, but I definitely think it did help blur it some. So that'll be something that I'll be interested to continue to try out. So then for the Jouer foundation, I am going to do this side with a sponge and this side with a brush. As I said, I do have the shade Pearl. This is a little bit thinner than I expected it to be, which is good. I like foundations that have a more thin consistency. But in this little packet, it's making it kind of messy. Now that I have it dotted all over one side of my face, I'm gonna go in with a damp beauty blender and just pounce over it. I'm excited to see how much coverage this gives and how well it holds up on my oily skin. I'm really happy to see that it's more of a thinner consistency. Wow, oh my gosh. I must have applied too much, because goodness gracious, wow, that does look like some pretty darn full coverage. I know I went over on this side a little bit with the sponge, but it's because I've got so much. Wow. I wonder if I can make it all the way across my face with just this small amount of product. I was able to go over on this side of my face, on my forehead, and on my chin with that little amount of product, which is so impressive. So I'm not gonna use a brush, I'm just gonna use a sponge, just because y'all know I don't care for brush application, and the sponge just looks so flawless. I don't even want to know what the brush side looks like. that you really don't get much in these sample packets. But that little bit of product went such a long way. Like, I truly look like I have full coverage. It has covered up majority of all my redness and my freckling with one layer with a sponge. That's insanely impressive. And it doesn't feel thick or heavy on the skin. Now again, keep in mind I wear, you know, medium to full coverage foundation every single day, so I'm not bothered by foundations that feel heavy. I don't really notice them feeling heavy. But so this definitely did blend out super easily, but I did want to show right here in my nostril, if you can see, it definitely looks cakey right here because I need to get in that crevice. All right, okay, that was easy enough to blend out. Dang, I've never really had it look that intense, but again, very easy to blend out. Wow, I'm so impressed. So now I'm going to apply my under eye concealer, under eye setting powder, and my face powder off camera. I am just going to be using the Dermablend Translucent Loose Setting Powder, which is not going to give me any color, coverage, or mattify me, and then I'll be back for my cheek products. So I did want to mention that while I was putting my face powder on, I was scrunching up my forehead some, and then I immediately got foundation settling in my forehead lines and really emphasizing them. So I did want to mention that. So moving on to cheek products, I'm going to be using the Skinny Dip bronzer from Bare Minerals and applying it with my e.l.f. stippling brush. And I'm going to use this actually as a bronzer and a contour today because I didn't bring out something to contour with. This blends really nicely. It definitely is more of a warm tone color, but I don't think it looks too orange. You guys will have to let me know. But it's blending out really easily. It seems to have more of a satin finish, but it doesn't look glowy on the skin or too dry. This is really nice. Then I'll be going into the Tarte Goddess Glam palette, and I'll be taking the blush shade in here and applying it with my Sigma F15 Duo Fiber blush brush. Seems to have some nice pigment. Wow, that is really pigmented. It's a really pretty pinky mauve blush. And it does have a matte finish. Seems to be really pigmented, but also blending out quite nicely. So I think that looks really good. And I think they chose a really great pinky tone highlight to go along with it. And now moving on to the highlighter, they chose a really pretty, more like pinky champagne kind of color to go with that blush. So I'll be applying that with my Morphe M501 brush. It looks actually kind of deep when I pick it up on the brush. We'll see how it works on my skin tone. I can definitely see that reflect like right here. I don't know, I don't think it looks too dark, which is good. Yeah, okay. That is pretty. So we are all done with the face. I'm going to zoom you guys in for brows and eyes. So as you can see, I've already filled in my brows, but I haven't set them with brow gel yet. And I am going to be comparing the Benefit to my all-time favorite, the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel. And the reason I'm doing that is, of course, to see the two formulas, but it's also because the brushes are different. So on the Anastasia, it is more of that standard mascara wand. It works perfectly for my brows, but the Benefit one is a plastic comb. It looks more flat on one side, and then you have the teeth on the side of this. It's very, you won't be able to see, it's super skinny. And this brush is just so different from anything else I've ever used for a brow gel, so I thought it might be cool to try that out. And I am running very low on the Anastasia. It is about done, but there is still some product in there, so I am going to put the Anastasia on my left brow. And I just think that this works into the brows very easily, and it does a really great job of holding my brows in place. So now for the Benefit, I'm so excited. Ugh. The products like came out, look kind of gluey and goopy, so that's ew. That looks kind of like snot. Oh gosh. So obviously we have to take the comb side and run it through my brows. But I guess I can take more of the flat paddle part, which might have just more product on it. And oh, okay, the way that the bristles are shaped, even when I lay it flat like this, it is still, that's so weird. Even when I lay it flat, because the bristles do come straight out, but they also are at an angle, I can still feel the bristles in my brows. Then moving on to eye primer. On this side, I'll be using my trusty Urban Decay eyeshadow primer potion, and this has gotten a little bit thick since I put it in this sample jar, but this is a product that I know really well and I really love. So I'm just going to be applying this from lash line to brow bone. And then on this side, I'm going to go in with the NARS primer. I'm so excited to try this. This is just a little mini that I got in a Sephora Play, and I love that it has that wand doe foot applicator. It makes it easy to use, but then at the same time, you, at least I do, still go in with my finger to blend it out. That way I don't get too much product. Okay, this is feeling very nice and thin and smooth. And like I said, the Urban Decay feels a little thick right now because mine is dried out a little bit, but normally it also feels really thin and smooth. But this one has a bit more tack to it, which is great to help shadows stick better. So now I'm just going to set the primer in my crease and under my brow bone with a translucent powder. I meant to bring over a shadow, but I forgot to, so I'm going to do that really quick just to give these eyeshadows a good chance at blending. So dipping into the Tarte Goddess Glam palette, I'm going to be taking this shade right here, Celestial, and applying it as my transition color with my Morphe M38 brush. And this is definitely a lighter shade, but the next deepest matte color I want to use in my crease will still show up on me since I'm so fair, but for other people this might be more like a brow bone highlight or a setting shade. Yeah, I can see it a little bit, but no, it's too light. Yeah, I don't like this one for a transition color. It's just, the shade doesn't work the best for that. So I'm going to take a light dusting of this matte shade right here, Royalty, and put it right over top of my transition color with a Morphe M533 brush. So I just picked up a little bit on that brush, and I'm going to go right over where I applied that Celestial shade. A little bit more dimension. That worked pretty well. So as I always do for my lid shade, I want to apply a cream base, and I'm usually just put it on one eye so I can show you the difference, but I think you guys know by now that a cream shadow really helps to intensify your lid shade. And because I'm testing out eyeshadow primers, I'm going to put this on both eyes to make it fair. So this is a new shade of the Balm Batter Up Shadow Sticks for me. This is in the shade Shutout. And this is like a goldeny bronze color, so I'm just going to draw this on my lid. So then I'm going to take this shimmery bronzy gold in Beloved and pack it on my lid over top of that cream shadow stick. And I'm going to be using my MAC 239 flat shader brush. Wow, that looks really, really pretty. And a good bit of product is picking up on the brush. So now I'll be going in with my crease color, and again I am going to take that matte brown Royalty and build this up in the crease, but I'm gonna be using my outer corner brush to do this, which is the MAC 286 Duo Fiber Tapered Blending Brush. Again, I'm not sure how deep this is gonna show up on my skin. Yeah, that looks perfect. This has a really nice amount of pigmentation, not too intense, but it's not too sheer either. I like that. So you guys know I don't usually put something in my outer corner, and I don't use really dark colors, but I would like to use another shade in the palette. So I'm going to be going in with this shade right here, Throne, and my Morphe R39 brush, which is a really nice like warm, reddy brown color. And just putting this in the outer corner to help define my look. and I really just picked up the slightest amount and it making a really nice big difference. So I like that. I'm happy with the way that these are performing. So then I'm going to take that lid shade on my finger to help re-intensify that. And you can see how much shinier it is now than my other eye. This is very reflective, so it's hard to show, but this is like a shimmery champagne shade, and that is a really beautiful shimmery cranberry color. Those are the two I didn't use. So then this is a shimmer for my lid, and then you do have these three matte shades, the blush and the highlight, which of course you could use as shadows as well. So I'm not going to apply any eyeliner today. I'm just going to apply some mascara, and I will zoom out to do the lip color and show you the final look. So here with the eyes look like all complete. Now for the lips, I have the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Liquid Lipstick in the shade Swag. And I know that this was from a Sephora Play as well, but I believe my friend Jean sent this to me. So this does have a flat paddle style applicator, which I don't mind, but I do prefer a regular doe foot because it has a bit more of a point, so it is easier to line my lips and get the Cupid's bow. So this definitely has more of a moussey formula than a liquidy, but it is really nice and creamy. It feels super smooth going onto the lips. So this is my final look. I have a very late start to the day. Right now it's 4 p.m. So I will give you guys my final thoughts at the end of the night, probably around 10 p.m. So it will just be a 6-hour wear time, but I think that will be a good enough time because I am so early for me to be able to see what I think of these products. And then of course I will give you my full finalized thoughts at the end of the month. So I will see you guys in 6 hours. Hey guys, I am back to give you my final thoughts for the day. It is 10 p.m. and I've had this makeup on for 6 hours and I think it still looks pretty good, but of course I do typically wear my makeup around 16 hours, so I do need my makeup to last a lot longer than this, but this is a good amount of wear time for me to be able to give you guys some thoughts. So just to run through all of the products, for the Dr. Brandt Pores No More Luminizer Primer, I do enjoy the consistency of that. It is a little tacky, which I think helps the foundation cling better. It doesn't look overly illuminating, and I wasn't sure how well that would work with the pore filling property, but when I tapped in the extra product right here and then I get close in the mirror, I can definitely tell that my pores looked a lot more filled on the side with the Dr. Brandt primer as opposed to the side with just the ordinary primer, so that was really awesome. So I think that is definitely something that I'm happy to have a full size of, whereas with the normal Dr. Brandt Pores No More Primer, I only apply that on the areas where I have pores. This primer, I think it would actually just use all over and then concentrate a bit more product in the areas where I have more pores, but I really do enjoy that one. So then for the foundation, I was using the Jouer Essential High Coverage, and this is in the shade Pearl. Pearl is described as very fair with beige to peachy undertones, and this was a really tiny sample, so I was only able to get one use, but I do have another sample in the shade Porcelain, which is described as light skin with neutral to peachy undertones. So we will see which shade works for me, but I just want to be able to try the formula again to really finalize my thoughts on this. But this is amazing. It does have a thin consistency, which I love because it blends out nicely with a sponge, which is my preferred method of application. I really do believe that this does give full coverage with one layer, but if you want like max bulletproof coverage, you can still build it up and blend it out so easily. I'm really impressed, and like I said, I can definitely see myself buying that from Sephora during their next VIB sale because I just love the coverage so much. I am pretty darn greasy right now, so that's unfortunate. I was hoping it would keep me matte a little longer, but when I test this foundation again, we'll test with my Too Faced Peach Perfect powder, which is my more mattifying powder, and see if I enjoy that combination because I love the way that it looks on my skin. But this definitely did emphasize all of the texture I have on my skin. From far away you can't see it, but close up you definitely can. And also, as I mentioned earlier, this does emphasize all of my wrinkles in my forehead, and that just makes sense with how full coverage this is, that it is a product that is going to settle into lines and creases that happen around my nostrils as well, but I was able to blend that out pretty easily. So I think if I can make sure that I blend it out and then set it right away, I should be pretty okay. I really, really love that foundation. That's probably my favorite thing I've tried here today. Then we had the Bare Minerals bronzer in the Skinny Dip. This is fine. I think it is a nice warm color. It had a really nice amount of pigmentation. It blended out nicely. This is something that's just fine for me. I will continue to use it, but I don't think it would be a holy grail, or I would want to buy the full size. It's just okay. Then we have the Tarte Goddess Glam palette. So for the blush, it was very pigmented. It has a nice matte finish. It blended out really nicely onto the cheeks. The highlighter I think is a really cool pinky champagne shade, and it is not too deep for my skin tone, which is awesome. It has a really nice intense metallic sheen, which is very beautiful, but this highlight definitely emphasizes all of the texture on my cheeks. But again, that's only something I'm noticing really close up in the mirror. From far away, it looks fine. I think these shadows were also really pigmented. They blended out easily. The shimmer I put on my lid had a good amount of thickness to it, which I liked. And I have not had any fading at all with my shadows, which is fantastic. And of course, as you remember, I did put the lid shade over a cream base, which just helps to intensify it. So overall, I do think this is a good palette. I think it performs well, and I love that it is almost an all-in-one. There is not a bronzer in here, but not everybody wears bronzer. I think this would be a great gift. I'm not sure if it's still available, but I think this would be a great gift for like a regular person who likes wearing makeup but isn't as obsessed and needs to have every latest and greatest palette, because if you have a lot of palettes in your collection, I don't think this is going to offer anything new except convenience. But I think that this is something that, even though the colors are beautiful, it is good quality, I think I'll pass it on to my sister because she is all about convenience. She travels a lot for her job, so I think she would really enjoy this. But I am impressed with the quality, and I think the colors are pretty. Then I had my Benefit 24-Hour Brow Setter Clear Brow Gel. I was comparing it to the Anastasia Clear Brow Gel, so they both apply very easily and they're both clear. And I do think that my brows have held in place equally, but right when I applied this and it dried down, the Anastasia felt a little bit crunchier. So this one didn't feel as crunchy, but it still had the same amount of hold. So I think that the Benefit actually might be a little bit better in that regard. And I do think that the brush is very unique, and it's something that is just a little different and cool to use. But I would definitely say with the experience I've had so far, this works as well as the Anastasia Brow Gel. And then I tested the NARS Pro Prime Smudge Proof Shadow Base and compared it to the Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer Potion, and I think that they actually worked just the same. So if you see my eyes up close, I do not have any creasing on either eye, and as I stated, I did apply a cream shadow on both eyes. I think that my eyeshadow blended just as easily on both sides, and I do think that the colors stayed as vibrant on both sides. So I didn't notice anything particularly special about this. Even though I do have oily eyelids, I have found several primers that work for me. The Milani Eyeshadow Primer Potion, the original Urban Decay Eyeshadow Primer, and this one works just as well. So I'm going to be excited to use this up, and we'll see if I decide to repurchase it or not. I think I probably won't because the Milani works so well for me, and I know how expensive this is, but this is something that's been on my wish list forever, so I'm happy that I enjoy it and it works. Then for my lip product, I was testing the Bare Minerals Gen Nude Liquid Lipstick in the shade Swag. This is so pretty. I did just reapply it before this video, so this never completely sets down. It still feels very creamy on the lips, but it doesn't look shiny. It doesn't feel heavy. It really feels like I have nothing on my lips right now, but when I rub them together, it's such a comfortable creamy texture. It doesn't even feel like a regular lipstick. It doesn't feel like a regular liquid lipstick. I really enjoy this formula so far. So it wasn't the longest lasting, but with this color in particular, it did fade away pretty gracefully, which I enjoyed. And this is something that I would be tempted to buy more shades of. I have seen so many of these at TJ Maxx and Marshall's for a really good price, as well as Nordstrom Rack. I don't need any more liquid lipsticks right now, but I'm very, very tempted to pick up more of these. But I would love to know your favorite shades if you've tried this formula, what you think of this formula. But for me, it is very, very comfortable, and it looks like a regular lipstick on my lips. I'm really, really enjoying that. So overall, I am pretty pleased with what I've tried. My top 3 would be the Jouer foundation. I really enjoyed the Dr. Brandt primer and the Bare Minerals liquid lipstick. There wasn't anything that I disliked. As I said, the other products were good, but nothing like knocked my socks off. And then for this palette, I do think it's good quality, pretty colors, but I will be passing this on to my sister because I think she'll get some better use out of it. So I would love to know your all's thoughts if you have tried these products in the comments down below. Thank you all so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye guys.